Hi, guys. Let's get into a reading. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscribes, and to those of you who have booked a personal reading with me, please keep in mind that these are general messages, so do not take them personally. Take the messages that resonate and leave the rest behind. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can find that information in the description box below. Let's get into it. What message do you have for the collective at this time? Help me to articulate a clear and concise message in order for it to be received in the way that you want it to best be received. Help me to see what it is I need to see to get the message across as clear as possible. And help me to deliver any messages that you deem worthy in order to serve your highest good, for the highest good of humanity with harm to none. What messages do you have for the collective at this time? What messages do you have for the collective at this time? Okay. So there's something that you may have feel very uncertain about, right? It's almost as if like your faith is being tested, right? And I know that that's a very frustrating state to be in, right? Because it just feels um like what more do I have to do to prove that I'm faithful, right? But it almost as if it's almost as if like there's this sense of the fact that you may still have doubt, right? The situation that you're in may be currently testing your faith in a sense that things are moving behind the scenes, but you're not exactly seeing the results of those things that are shifting and taking transformation in your within your physical reality in this moment, right? So it's almost as if like you are beginning to question um the fact that something is coming in for you, when truthfully you have a knowing, you have an understanding of your ability to manifest things, right? And this may be something that is like what I'm sensing may be like a very deep wound for you, right? It seems as if like it is related to a sense of connection on some level, right? Where you seem to be very triggered by the state that you're in. But it's also as if like you've accepted where you are, right? Which is almost like that message in itself comes with the duality, right? Because the fact that you have accepted this state of being is one evidence that what you're manifesting is coming in. But also, on the other hand, it's also a very triggering wound for you, because it's also evidence that you need to strengthen your faith in knowing that this is coming true for you, right? What you desire is coming forth. There seems to be a duality to this message. Clarify acceptance. There's a very deep wound here that you are being forced to acknowledge at this moment. And I keep seeing the Hermit energy. I keep sensing that. I keep seeing it in my mind's eye. So I'm not sure if maybe this is related to like a connection of some sort. Maybe it's just the fact that like you spent so much time alone, right? That you have accepted your independence. But on the same on the other end, you're being called out of this hermit mode, right? So while you may, it's almost as like you don't want to be in hermit mode, but you've also accepted the fact that this just may be what is meant for you on this journey. However, truthfully, behind the scenes, there are things happening that will require you to come out of this hermit energy. Ace of Swords, truth. There's something that is going to be, the Three of Swords. You're healing something regarding this space of solitude. Whether that's being stuck in your mind, whether that is having genuine connection, whether that is having genuine friendships, relationships of any kind, right? You're being triggered. It's bringing up some old wounds. And so maybe this is the time that you should sit with yourself, right? Gather more information about why you feel the need to stay in this independent energy, and also what you feel will be required of you to come out of this hermit energy, for you to feel comfortable, for you to feel safe, for you to feel secure in indulging in connection with others, and to whatever degree, right? Clarify acceptance. The wheel, it's almost as if like this time is up. It's time for you to come out of this energy. It's time for you to open up a different part of yourself to other people. Look, Death and the Four of Swords. With the Queen of Pentacles, it's time for you to give me one more on this Four of Swords. The Empress, the Page of Swords. Yeah, you might have to learn how to accept others into your space in a more intimate way, right? If you are desiring connection, you're going to have to learn how to create bonds, connections, formations in a way that is going to require you to open up, right? There's going to have to be a shift in the way that you move, right? You're not going to be able to build genuine connections, to build genuine relationships if you stay in this cloaked energy. And this may be due to you feeling like you have to hold back your perspective, hold back on what you say, hold back on what you know, or on what you perceive, right? Because you may be the kind of person who doesn't speak on everything that you know or see, right? You're someone who is more of an observer, right? You more so take in information and uh keep it in your note files, right? But in this next phase, you're going to have to learn how to not only be more open within yourself, but also accept um the insecurities of others, in a sense, right? As in not being judgmental in how others carry their insecurities, or how others react or move based on insecurities that they have maybe experienced or maybe carrying in a way, right? Now this because I'm trying to be careful with how I say this. This isn't like the energy of you taking on other people's problems, but it's you learning to, or just beginning to understand that um just because things don't align with you in a way that you perceive as safe or secure, that doesn't mean that you have to be so quick to shut it out. Does that make sense? Now, obviously, use your own discernment in your own situation. I am in no way telling you to stay in a situation or in a space where you don't feel safe or secure. I'm referring to understanding that people are human, right? And life is not always kind to everyone, right? Sometimes people experience or endure things that they might not be deserving of, and it may leave an impact on them that they may still be learning how to carry, right? And so it's up to you to know how to discern what is for you and what isn't for you, right? You yourself have to know yourself well enough to know what you will and won't deal with, but also understand that sometimes life is just fucking hard. Nobody comes out um, of this existence without some type of scar or some type of experience or some type of insecurity, right? Whether they are whether they put that on the forefront or not, right? And the transformation that is happening here is asking you to develop that sense of, one, understanding and knowing, and two, a willingness to be able to garner that sense of intimacy where you uh hold space for others to learn how to work through their insecurities without judging them for experiencing them. Right? I hope that makes sense how it comes through. I do want to get another card for this death card because it's kind of screaming at me right now. The Ten of Pentacles, right? Because, yeah, the Page of Cups. This is almost as if, like, you are one, learning how to look, the Ace of Swords is underneath the truth and the wheel. Like, y'all saw me shuffle these cards so many times, and the wheel and the Ten of Ace of Swords are right underneath one another under this Empress card with the Eight of Pentacles, right? There's a transformation happening in your world right now where you have the ability to manifest everything that you desire. But it's going to have to require you to be a little bit more vulnerable, not only with yourself, but with whoever or whatever it is you are desiring to build an intimate connection with, right? You're going to have to learn how to be a little bit softer, be a little bit more nurturing, a little bit more caring, right? To have the ability to see um the growth within situations, within people, within experiences, right? However this resonates for you, there is an apology, it feels like, that you may need to, one, give yourself. Confirmation. You may need to forgive yourself for whatever it is that you're holding on to, that you've had to work through, but that you've also felt shame about, that you've also tried to bury, that you've also um tried to disconnect yourself from mentally, emotionally. However, it's a part of your story, so it's not necessarily something you can disconnect from. So there's an element of comfort required here in order to provide the environment for you to garner this safety and security that you're desiring to experience in this connection, right? I'm also sensing like a mirroring energy, confirmation that like there's a mirroring energy. And maybe the fact that it seems as if like whatever you're calling in, you're aligned in more ways than one, right? Which also means that your wounds match each other. And you can't heal a wound in someone else if you have not acknowledged that wound within yourself, right? So you can't create a safe space for someone to share their story, or someone to open up, or someone to be willing to share the growth, the death, and the transformation that they have experienced, or just the life lessons that they have learned, or the challenges that they've had to overcome, if you yourself are not willing to be open and vulnerable in addressing those same situations in your own life, in your own reflection, right? You're choosing not to look at something within yourself that you're expecting someone else to be open and forthcoming with in return. Wow. There's some work. Yeah, with underneath the Two of Cups, you cannot make this shit up. There's a mirrored reflection here that you are there's some effort, some true work that needs to be done here in your heart space. And it doesn't seem detrimental to the part where like, oh my God, it's going to tear you apart. It's not that dramatic. It just seems like in order to kind of power through something, you pushed it to the side. And in order for you to bring in that openness, that willingness that you're desiring to connect to, you're going to have to connect to that part within yourself first so that you will see that within your reflection, right? I'm hearing in totality, right? So acknowledging every part of yourself, every part of your story, even the ugly parts, right? Scars build character, right? They're evidence that you've overcome. These messages have been very deep lately, and I've just been kind of sitting at this table hoping, like, let me get something light today. And then I sit down, and then it's like, oh, tapping into a wound. Okay, clarify, reliable. There too is like you're receiving guidance on what to do and how to acknowledge and manifest this. And so if there's ever any sense of like doubt, if there's ever any sense of clarity that you need, all you have to do is look within. The hangman, all you have to do is look within, right? You have to trust in yourself, trust in what you've built, and give yourself the patience. The Four of Pentacles also came in. Give yourself the patience to or maybe not patience, I guess grace is the word that I'm looking for. Give yourself, excuse me, the grace to grow in this area within yourself and within this connection, whatever that may be. The Five of Cups, because it seems as if you are still carrying around some resentment. You're still carrying around some regret, and it may be weighing on you, not in a sense of keeping you from growing. In some ways, yes, because you have the Eight of Pentacles and then you have the Seven of Pentacles. That's a regression, right? So, the work that you're doing is good. It's great. Everything that you've done so far has gotten you to where you are. But you are certainly going to have to take a step back and look at something a little bit more closely. Acknowledge what it is that you've been suppressing and sit with it and allow yourself to see it from a different perspective where it is no longer able to hold you back. However, it will cause you to, it's almost because I'm feeling like from your perspective, looking back will take you back, right? And look, the Seven of Pentacles with that reflection, right? There's space here for there to be safety and security within this connection. But there first has to be an acknowledgement of what you're looking at. What are you seeing in what within yourself are you seeing in what you're manifesting? Right? I hope that makes sense. Because it seems as if like you're keeping yourself from a part of yourself. You have experienced some things that may be too painful for you to look at. And now you're being called to a space where you need to sit with that for a second. Not to, it's almost as if like going back to that moment will help you to see something from a different perspective, which will help you to have more grace within yourself and within whatever it is that you're manifesting, right? There's a strong alignment here, a strong mirroring energy here. But you may be expecting a deeper level of something from this manifestation that you're not willing to accept within yourself. And that's mirroring back to you and how you're aligning with it. And so in order to align with it in the way that brings you fulfillment, in the way that allows you freedom, in a way that brings you peace and space and intimacy and groundedness, you're going to first have to look at that reflection and acknowledge what it is that you have, those doors that you've shut, that you refuse to open. Right? And to know that if you've lived through it one time, going back to revisit it, it's okay to observe without having to experience it all over again, right? You have to learn how to witness from a different perspective with a different set of eyes, which in a sense, even in that moment of reflection, you will experience what happened to you differently in that moment that you're perceiving it, right? I hope that makes sense how it came through. It won't break you. The Magician, it won't break you. It just will allow you to transform these fears. Look, and the Emperor and the Sun, I can't, it won't break you. And I think that's what your fear is. It just will allow you the space to transmute those experiences on a different level so that you're able to experience life and intimacy and connection on a different level, right? Because then you'll have a new set of tools, you'll have a new set of resources, you'll have a new level of understanding of how those have maybe aligned you with your fears, how they may have placed you in certain addictions, how they may have helped you to manifest certain experiences subconsciously, but also how you've managed to build what it is that you have managed to create in this reality, right? You have the Emperor and the Empress, right? So you are very grounded. You've built something for yourself, regardless of what you've experienced, right? But it's time for you to see those challenges in a way that will show you how they have not only helped you to create and align yourself with where you are currently, but how they've also shaped you as a person and what you connect to intimately within your personal connections, right? Clarify answers within. Because you also have to be aware and acknowledge that even if something exists within your subconscious, that doesn't mean that you don't have the power to manifest it within your reality, right? You can manifest consciously and you can also manifest subconsciously. So in order to manifest or align yourself to your desires in the healthiest way possible, you need to acknowledge and be aware of what is existing in your subconscious. You can't be afraid to look at it. If you are aware of it, you will know how to refine it so that it aligns you to your highest manifestation in the healthiest way possible. Right? Clarify answers within. The Hermit. And it came out. The Hermit is here. It's time to come out. Judgment is also here. It's time to come out of this space of solitude. You're being called out of this space of solitude. It's almost as if, like the Five of Pentacles, it's almost as if you are resisting this energy, but not in a physical sense, because it seems like you are yearning for it in a physical sense. Externally, Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck, but internally, you're resisting, right? And in order to bring this manifestation, this connection into alignment within your reality in the healthiest way possible, because you can bring in connections, but they will continue to manifest your triggers, your wounds, because subconsciously you're not aware of how you are manifesting connections and relationships from that space, right? And so in order for you to manifest in the healthiest way possible, you're going to have to acknowledge them. You're going to have to call them to the forefront of your being, sit with them, acknowledge it, face it, experience it, feel it, speak to it, right? Hear from it, right? Hear from that version of yourself. And see how it is keeping you from living in your highest potential, right? Look at how it is keeping you from being open with yourself and with others, right? Let's pull 4 cards to close this message out. We'll do 1 card for what we can learn surrounding this message. 1 card for the major lesson we can learn surrounding this message. 1 card for the opportunities we can create surrounding this message. 1 card for what we can meditate on as the focus of this message. And 1 card for the new habits and cycles we can innovate to contribute to our growth and expansion surrounding this message. This is a beautiful message, but it's also very deep, because there are some deep wounds that you're going to have to work through. It's almost like practice pouring your heart out to yourself first. Perceptive and support. Practice pouring your heart out to yourself first, so that you will feel comfortable sharing your story in areas that are needed to build intimacy and connection, right? Practice speaking to yourself in a healthy way. Practice nurturing yourself in a more intimate way, right? Practice loving yourself in a deeper and a more intentional sense. Practice sharing and speaking and having the hard conversations with yourself. Practice being emotionally available with yourself, so that what you manifest is a mere reflection of that, right? Don't play the victim in your own heart space, because you're in control of that frequency. You may not be in control of how others treat you, but you are in control with how you deal with those experiences and how you transmute them and how you emit that frequency within the connections that you build forthgoing, right? 1 message for what we can learn card for what we can learn as a major lesson. Relationships and alignment. Maybe that's where the trigger wound is. Intimacy within relationships. Subconsciously, you may have been aligning yourself to relationships in multiple or relationship dynamic in any sense of the way, right? This can be a business connection. This can be connections within your family. This can be personal friendships. This can be romantic relationships, right? Take it how it resonates. This may be, all or nothing. The lesson here is to be more aware of how you were manifesting certain relationships and how you kept aligning yourself to those connections based on the wounds that you have suppressed within yourself. What emotional wounds regarding relationships are you carrying that are keeping you from experiencing that deep bond that you're yearning for? One card for the opportunities you can create surrounding this message. Awareness and support came back out. Yeah. Create the space for you to receive support, right? Again, that hermit energy. So if you may be the person who always provides support, but you're not so willing to accept support. And what I'm seeing is Anubis here in the background. I'm seeing Anubis here in the background of this card. And again, Anubis is the one who referenced making sure that your heart is as light as a feather, right? And so by being in that position where you are blocking yourself off from receiving support from outside relationships, you are hardening your heart, which weighs it down, right? So you're being asked to create opportunities where you are willing to be open, where you are willing to release some of those burdens that you're carrying within your heart space, right? Where you are allowing yourself to receive support from those connections that you're desiring a deeper bond with, right? It's going to require you to reveal a deeper sense of yourself. And that may be scary. Vulnerability can be scary in a sense that it exposes our wounds. And if you don't have the right support to help you heal those wounds, it will only make them worse. So that's why you need to sit with yourself first before you allow yourself to open these wounds up to who it is that you're seeking support from, right? Again, whether this is a friend or a family member or a romantic partner or, however it resonates. Allow yourself to open your heart space in this sense. Allow people to see you through the many different dimensions that you exist in, right? I'm seeing the moon cycle here. So you may be the kind of person who only shows face when you are in your brightest element, right? The full moon is what I'm seeing, right? We've got 3 full moons here, right? The Trinity. So you may be the kind of person who only allows yourself to be seen in the fullest light that you shine. Although you experience the full cycle of the moon phases, right? So again, create that opportunity for you to allow your support system to see you through those phases, so that they know how to be of support to you, so that they know confirmation, that they know how to help you and nurture you back to health. Right? One card for what we can meditate on as the focus of this message. We have limits and creatress. This is giving this energy right here. Meditate on what is it that's holding you back within your subconscious. What is it that you've experienced that is keeping you from manifesting these intimate relationships or connections that you're so desiring to connect to? There's a deep yearning is what I'm sensing for you to be in connection. Part of the human experience requires us to be in connection, to be in community, right? And although you've learned to exist in this hermit space, you're being called to step out of that frequency and get back to the community that you are meant to uphold, right? One card for the new cycles and habits we can innovate to contribute to our growth and expansion surrounding this message. Peace and communication. Allow yourself the space to feel. Allow yourself the space to see, to sense, to experience, to perceive, right? To communicate not only with yourself, but and see that full moon is back, right? What is it that you're hiding from, right? Find peace in okay. Find peace in allowing yourself to be vulnerable with yourself and with what it is that you're desiring to connect to intimately and emotionally. There's room for growth. There's room for you to experience a deep bond, a deep connection. But you have to be willing to exist in that space of showing your wounds to yourself and to those who you desire a deeper connection with, right? But that is the message that I have for you guys. I hope that it resonates. I know that if you made it to the end of this video, you have found something in it that is worthy and valuable to you. Thank you for watching. Bye.